everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have a new video for you today. This is one of the tags that Ali from Color Mama 360 has created, and that's the unpopular ideas. And I really like her tags, to be honest. I already did the books with a personality tag from her. And now I'm also going to do this one because, I mean, it's a lot of fun, to be honest. Really great questions. And I was listening to, I've watched 2 videos now from the unpopular ideas. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my own video about it. And I saw, a lot of you guys coloring while making this video. And I was like, you know what? I'm also going to do that. Because I don't think that you guys ever have seen me color live. I never made a color along. I never really colored and chat or something like that. I never done something like that. So yeah, so this is going to be a new experience for me. I hope I can be cohesive while in my story, while I'm coloring. Because usually I'm not extremely good at doing 2 things at once, but I'm gonna try. So yeah, unpopular ideas. Actually, this is a video I did that I also was thinking about making something like this, and then I saw this and I was like, yeah, this is absolutely perfect. She did a much better job than I probably would have done if I did it on my own. So yeah, I do want to say thank you very much to Ali. But let's get started. So the first question is, what's a super popular coloring book you just don't connect with? And for me, I guess that's fairy tales and folklore. From let me see, I wrote it down. Emily Linda Hall Oberg. I know it's an extremely popular book. Most people absolutely love it. And not me. I do have it and I've actually colored a page in it. But her illustration style, let's just say some of the things I don't like. The eyes, the way she draws eyes, for instance. I the one that I colored, because I only colored 1 page in her book. The one that I colored, I altered her eyes. I basically put some, I believe some white gouache on top of it, and redrawn her eyes because I did not like them. And also the way if she draws an animal, she draws them with a lot of diagonal lines. I know it should represent fur, but I like just a straight line. I create the fur myself. So yeah, it's not for me. I do have the book. I will probably color in it because it is a book of it's pretty really nice quality, and the paper is okay. And when I'm saying okay, it is nice thick paper, but I have noticed that it doesn't always agree with all of your coloring supplies. Sometimes it can be a little bit a challenge. I used my polychromos, and what I noticed is I need a lot of layers to get a really nice bright effect with some colors. But okay, that's just my opinion. It's just not a book for me. So yeah. So the next question. You see, I'm trying to focus here on 2 things, and I'm just not really good at it. So let me just focus on the question first, and then continue the coloring thing. Do you prefer simple or highly detailed page? Okay, so this is going to be an extremely safe and standard answer that I'm going to give you guys. I like something in between. And it's true, you have those cute and cozy books that are extremely easy. It's just like one object on the page, like, I don't know, a cupcake or something like that. I don't like those books. I mean, that's something that I would give a toddler. I'm sorry, that's the way I think about it. There's not a lot of challenge in it. But if you give me a page with a lot of detail, like a whole lot of detail, for instance, Joanna Bashford with her Rooms of Wonder. She has these rooms with a lot of small, tiny details in them. For those that have the book, you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't enjoy those kind of pages. They are extremely overwhelming to me. I don't know where to start coloring. Just not for me. So something in between. And well, I am coloring right now in Hannah Carlson in her newest book. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce this. No, I'm not gonna try. It's the castle book. I call it the castle book. Tales from the Castle Ruins. I think it's gonna be like in English, the title. And I really like her illustrations because it's a really nice mix between not too overcomplicated, but enough detail to make it interesting. And just like this window, for instance, or this portrait. It's definitely not boring, but it's not so much that you don't know where to start. I mean, this is perfect. This peacock on a throne, So yeah, something in between. And I think a lot of you guys are going to answer something like that. Yeah, so question number 3. Do you prefer alcohol markers or colored pencils? That's easy. Colored pencils. I'm a pencil girl. Definitely, I'm a pencil girl. In fact, I only use my alcohol markers in, well, I want to say Amazon books, not just the cute and cozy ones, but Amazon books. I have used my alcohol markers, for instance, in the R.J. Hampson books, and some other Amazon printed books. And that's because usually I don't really like pencil in an Amazon book because of the paper. Well, you can make it work. Prismas, they do work really nicely on that paper. So for instance, Matchstick Mouse. I really like Matchstick Mouse pages, and I always color them with pencil. Always. Sometimes I do the background with an alcohol marker, but like for the mouse itself, from the Matchstick Mouse itself, I always use pencils, and I always use my Prisma colors for that. But yeah, if you really gave me a choice, it wouldn't be a very difficult choice. It would just be pencils. So yeah. Okay, question number 4. Is it okay to have whips or no? Ooh, this is like a good question. Because, okay, if I see someone else coloring and she just shows me, like, oh, I have a whip over here, and then I have another whip over here and here, I would be absolutely okay with it, she's just enjoying the book, that's what I'm thinking. She's just enjoying the book and everything's fine. But for me, myself, I have a little bit more problems with it. And it also really depends on the book. But for instance, I have books from Kirby Roseanne's that I do really, really like. But for some reason, I don't finish what I started. And here it comes. I have this like unwritten rule that I cannot finish or start another page without finishing first, those older whips. So it's a little bit mixed for me. For everyone else out there, yeah, sure, go ahead. Just have fun in your books. And if you only want to color half of the page, or what am I saying? Even if you just want to, let's say that you only want to color this butterfly on this page, go ahead, do it. Just have fun. But for myself, I would not be okay with it. I have to color everything. And here it comes. That's quite, can be quite frustrating. Well, no, not so much frustrating, but it halts you, in progress. I have a lot of books that only have like one page in them or one whip in them, just a whip, and I don't color in the book anymore. I mean, that's absolutely freaking insane. Why? Because you haven't finished that page yet. Probably because you haven't really been inspired that much to finish it. But yeah, that's just how my mind works. I am working on it, by saying, okay, you have two choices. You either finish the whip or start another page, but do something with this book. I'm really, trying myself to get over that hump, or just finish the whip, that's also okay. So, yeah, number 5. What's one illustrator style that isn't for you? I actually have more than one. I have a pretty particular taste, and what I mean with that, there are a lot of things that I don't like. Let me see, because I wrote it all down, or else I'm gonna forget certain things. Okay, let me look it up. Hello. Oh yeah, here we go. So first, everything with a centangle element, that's definitely not for me. I absolutely do not like centangle. So what's her name? Miri Marotta? Is that her name? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly right now. But I don't have any of her books. It's just not my thing. Not my thing. And also like the earlier work of Rita Berman. It's not my thing. Too much centangle. I don't like it. I do like her, Rita Berman, ever since she started creating her traveling books. Love those books. But I don't like the centangle stuff. Another thing I really don't like, and it's an illustrator, and I know that a lot of you guys absolutely love her, but I really do not like her style. I really don't like her style, and it's Deborah Muller. I don't like her style. I don't. And it's probably because of, well, the second thing that I really don't like in drawing styles in general, and that's those girls that they draw with extremely big eyes and pouty lips. I don't like that because I don't think no one looks like that. And I like my illustrations a little bit more realistic. Now I do love Christina Karen. Christine Guerin. I do like her stuff, even though some of her work does have like girls with extremely big eyes. But for some reason I can tolerate that from her, but for most illustrators I can't. I don't like it. I don't like it, and I don't like anime. I'm not a huge anime fan. I do have a couple of books with a little bit of anime style, kind of style, but not a lot. So yeah, that's the things that just are not for me. And I know anime, for instance, extremely popular, and I know that for some people they absolutely love Deborah Muller. I hope I pronounced her name correctly. We also have that name in Dutch, but I hope I don't pronounce it too much in the Dutch way. So yeah. Then let me see. I am doing two things at the same time. Okay. Let me see. Then we have question 6. Do you think adult coloring books are getting too repetitive? Yes and a no. When it comes to cute and cozy, absolutely. In fact, you only have like a couple of different subjects that you can buy a book of. And after that, if you own those like 4 or 5 different subjects, if you own those, you own all of the books. That's my opinion. Then you own all of them. They're all the same, and I to be honest, I think that the cute and cozy, it's cute, don't get me wrong, but it's also a little bit overhyped. But I will come to that later. I do believe we have that question again later. So yeah, that's definitely repetitive. But when it comes to like more like the classical coloring books, like Hannah Carlson, that I'm working in, they are actually pretty inventive in creating new subjects to draw about. Yes, sure, she has her style, but that's what I love about it. They all have their own art style, and that's why we buy those books, because but it's not like repetitive when it comes to the subjects that they draw about, and I really like that. In fact, her Tales From series is anything but repetitive. They all have a very distinctive theme to them, and it's the same for Kirby Roseanne, for instance. He comes up with new subjects each time. In fact, I think that his Alien book, I don't have it. I mean, it's just not my cup of tea, but it's extremely original. Extremely original. And yeah, and I do praise that kind of stuff, even though it's not for me. I do like the fact that a lot of those artists are trying to think out of the box. Even like Maria Trolle lately is trying to do a little bit more different subjects. Her latest book right now about the magical library, I've seen a flip through of it. I absolutely love it. I'm definitely gonna get that book. I love it. Absolutely love it. Number 7 is, are limited edition or hard to find books overhyped? Overhyped? Maybe not. Overpriced? Definitely. If that's what you mean with overhyped, yes. I do think it's overpriced in some cases. For instance, I would love to have Mouse Guard. But we all know it's out of print. I have heard that he has actually published a new coloring book. I don't know if it's like a reprint of like the older Mouse Guard, or that's like really like a new book with new illustrations. I don't know, but I would love to have that book. Really. So I have looked it up, on eBay and other places. Even like you can even buy them like secondhand in some cases on Amazon. But those prices are absolutely insane. I'm not gonna pay 155 euros for a coloring book. That's insane, I think. The most expensive books that I own are from names. I always forget names. I'm not very good with names. Let me look it up. Hold on. Clara Markova. Thank you very much. Clara Markova. Those are the most expensive books that I own, and they were about 40 euros each. And I'm not gonna spend more than that. I mean, that's like the absolute top that I would spend on a coloring book. And I only spend that money on a coloring book like that because it is hardbound. It has beautiful paper. You know, the quality of those books are top notch. And if that wasn't the case, if it was, let's say, a paperback or something like that, I would not have done it. So yeah, from that perspective, absolutely overhyped. And because of that, then I'm just gonna say, well, then I'm not gonna have that book. And I'm okay with it. I'm cool with it. You don't need to have every book out there. Let me see. Question number 8. Are color alongs overrated or underrated? Well, I never made a color along. I have thought about it, and because of that, you also have to think, of course, about it. What you need to do in before you start recording, you know, beforehand, and it's a whole lot of work if you really want to do it like correctly. That's probably one of the reasons I've never done it. So from that perspective, totally even kijken, underrated. Yeah, totally underrated. It's a lot of work, a lot of work. But I do get it why they're just not as popular as let's say haul videos. Haul videos are extremely popular. It has everything to do with like the society that we live in today, where everything needs to be fast, flashy, or it's about everything that's new and exciting and that's dopamine increasing. So when we watch a haul video, we will get probably a dopamine spike from it. But when we're watching a color along, not so much. In fact, it's quite relaxing to watch a color along. And for a lot of people, I think, because they don't get a dopamine hit, because it's not flashy, because it doesn't demand their attention. It doesn't. It's just there in the background, basically. A lot of people will not look at it. It's the same reason why a lot of people don't read books anymore today. They don't have the attention span for it. And for a color along, you need the attention span, So it's not, the fault of the creators themselves. Absolutely not. It's the time we live in. It's the time we live in. And we can have a discussion about if that's like a good thing or a bad thing. But that's probably the reason why they are so completely underrated, because especially if you're a beginner, you can learn a lot from color alongs. Definitely, absolutely. So yeah, and that's my answer to that question. Then the big one. What's your opinion on overconsumption in the coloring world? I definitely have I have an opinion about that one. And I wrote it down because, again, English is not my mother language. So in some cases, I need to write it down. Hold on. It's still not correctly in frame. So yeah. Let me just say this. Of course, these are my opinions, my beliefs. And maybe some people will not like what I'm going to say here. But do I think it's a problem? To a certain extent, it is. I actually think. And that has to do with... Okay, so according to my opinion, I think that we buy books because we want to color in them. And sure, you want to have variety. That's completely normal. I want to have variety, definitely. I would be bored with the hobby if I could only have one book. I mean, that would be extremely boring, to be honest. But having said that, buying books for the sake of buying, I'm not a huge fan of that. Even though I am guilty of exactly that behavior. Um, Also, it's a trap that you can fall into when you join the coloring community. Because of all the haul videos and new books that are being hyped up. That's also the reason why I fell for it. If people show you a new book enough times, eventually you will probably buy it. Not just show you, but also tell you how great it is and how much it's a must have. The first time that you hear it, you're gonna think, well, actually, no, it's just not for me. The second time you're gonna hear it, maybe you're gonna think something like, oh, well, yeah, it's kind of cute, but no, it's not for me. I'm not gonna buy it. And then the third time, you might want to think, well, maybe in the future I'm gonna buy it, but not right now. And then after like 5 or 6 times that you heard the same message, before you know it, you're on Amazon ordering it. I mean, that's just how the human psyche works. That's also why commercials work. Repeat, 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 repeat. And eventually, the people will do what you want them to do, namely buying your product. So that's the exact same thing how it works in the coloring community, because we keep showing all this stuff to each other. Look what I found. But 10 other colorists also found that book and bought it, and you might see it. So that's the first thing that you need to be aware of, I think, when you join the coloring book community, that a lot of these things have, let's say, an impact on you. How do you say it? So that's definitely a thing, and like I said, I'm guilty of it. At the moment, I have 121 books, and I have to admit that is too much, like way too much. Why do I think it's too much? Because sometimes my collection overwhelms me a bit. And that can happen when you overconsume, It's funny because when we're talking about overconsumption, we always talk about like financial problems that people can get into, but it's not just financial problems, it's also psychological problems, your mental health. Having so much books around you that it is stress inducing, that's not healthy. And also the fact that usually when we buy that much, we are trying to escape reality for a little while, and we are chasing that dopamine hit constantly. I still have that, sometimes with new books. When I saw that I could pre-order this book, yeah, that gave me a dopamine hit. Absolutely. And that's a very, very nice feeling. We're all human, It's completely normal to have those things, but it's also, I think, for your own well-being, important to be aware of those kind of things and sometimes fight against it, because like I said, having too much books can be extremely overwhelming, stress-inducing, and maybe you try to escape something that you really need to face, really, yeah. So is it going to be a problem? Yeah. Usually it's like a sign of things, I don't know. Let's just say when I bought a lot of books, usually it was also in a phase in my life that was extremely stressful, or I tried to basically escape reality. Okay, I'm just going to be honest about that. And I did that by buying, filling up that black hole inside of you with things. And I think that's a very unhealthy thing. And then that's a very unhealthy thing. Let's just leave it at that. So that's my take on overconsumption. Damn, that's a very long story. What's one popular supply you don't think is worth money? Budget pencils. And I don't mean like all budget pencils. You can actually hit the jackpot and actually buy some very decent budget pencils. But in most cases, for instance, I have the Arctics, the ones they were like in this blue box, this pretty blue box with, I believe, bunnies on top of them. It was extremely cute, the packaging. And don't get me wrong, those pencils aren't bad, but I have only been using artist quality art supplies, and that's also because I can afford it. Okay, I am blessed in that way. I mean, I have to be honest. But if you can afford it, I would always go for the artist grade, because in the end, it's cheaper, believe it or not. And that's also because you can buy a lot of those products from open stock, and you cannot do that with like budget friendly brands, and which is completely understandable because selling from open stock is quite expensive. So yeah, I think that's a little bit it's not worth your money in the end. In the end, it will cost you more money. But like I said, in some cases, you really just don't have the financial means to spend a little bit more, or start, saving up for I don't know, some polychromos pencils or something like that. And if that's the case, you do have some budget brands that create beautiful pencils, and I would definitely be on the hunt for those. But don't just think that a pencil is a pencil, because that's definitely not true. That's definitely not true. So, okay, then I believe we have like some true and false statements after this one. Again, I all wrote it down. Yeah, we do. You don't need to swatch supplies. I'm gonna say, for me, that's false. I think you do need to swatch supplies. And why is that? In a lot of cases, especially when it comes to markers, especially markers, the colors, like that they show on the barrel, for instance. In a lot of cases, it's not the color that it will be on paper, so that's the reason why I think you should always swatch. And in my opinion, swatching is also like just scribbling a little bit on a piece of paper just to see what you have. You don't have to do it like in a very neatly swatch chart, but you always have to test out your colors to see what you're doing, if that's like the correct color that you're looking for. So yeah, I would say false. Cute and cozy books are worth the hype. Yeah, again, false. I think it's completely overhyped, to be honest. Yeah, it's cute and all, but it's not like we didn't have cute books before the cute and cozy. I mean, just think of Lulu Mayo. Her books are adorable. Absolutely adorable. But yeah, so I do think and that's coming from me because I do enjoy those books to a certain extent. I do a lot of flat coloring in those books. I use them as to de-stress and palette cleansers, that kind of stuff. That's the way I use those books. But I can be absolutely be honest, I don't really take them that seriously. I mean, I'm definitely not precious about those books. And yeah, for me, they really are just a coloring book. I mean, this is not just a coloring book for me. This is definitely a piece of art. But those books are just coloring books, that I can just mess around in, and that's it. So, okay, future editing Monique right here. I saw that I forgot question number 3. collecting coloring books is part of the hobby. I forgot to enter that one, so I'm gonna do that right now and just paste this in. So yeah, collecting coloring books is part of the hobby. I actually think that that's false. I think when you start this hobby, and of course you're probably gonna like a lot of books, so the chances are high that you are going to collect. But maybe you're one of those people that just think, well, if I have 5 or 6 books, maybe 10, I have more than enough. And I mean, you do really have enough. Those are the only books that you color from. If that's you, then you don't collect. So, but that doesn't mean that you're not a real colorist. It's not like you have to collect to become a real colorist. That's absolutely insane. So no, I'm gonna say that's false. It's not a part of the hobby. It is something that for a lot of us is normal that it happens. It's like how do you say it? Inevitable. It's inevitable. But I definitely think that you can practice this hobby without collecting. Absolutely. And maybe you are one of those people. Alrighty then. Next, 4. You need social media to really be able to participate in the coloring community. I think that's sadly true. This entire community is online. It's on YouTube, it's on Instagram, it's on TikTok, and you do need something of that if you want to participate in it, if you want to comment on the videos, if you want to maybe create your own videos, if you want to show what you've colored this month, for instance, on Instagram through pictures. You need something like that. At the moment, of course, I have my YouTube, and I only use my YouTube for coloring content. I also have an Instagram, but I only use my Instagram for coloring content. I'm not a big social media kind of girl. In fact, in a lot of cases, I don't even really like it. But yeah, when it comes to this community, yeah, if you want to participate in it, yeah, we are on social media. That's where we are stationed, basically. So yeah, you kind of need some kind of social media account. So yeah, number 5. Coloring is not something you do at the same time as other stuff. For me, that's really, really true. Right now, I'm trying to do something else while I color, and let's just say I'm struggling a bit. These leaves would, if I wouldn't be doing this, these leaves would already be done. Definitely. So yeah, I like to do. When I color, I like to focus on my coloring. And when I do other stuff, I like to focus on other stuff. So I'm some people like to color while they are watching TV or something like that. And, if you can do that, be my guest, really. It's the same thing as some people like to knit while they're watching TV. I'm definitely not one of those people. I can't. I mean, it's extremely difficult. So when I'm coloring, I'm coloring. And when I'm watching TV, I'm watching TV. So, yeah. That's my opinion about that one. 6. Budget supplies are just as good as artist quality. Well, that's a false. Okay. That's absolutely a hard past false. If you know how art supplies are being made, and if you know something about pigments and all of that, and how expensive pigments are, good quality pigments, then you know that this can't be true. I've used definitely in the past, when I started like dabbling with anything art related. I had a lot of cheap budget brands, in my collection. And when I got a little bit more serious about art in general, basically, um, I started to buy more like artist grade brands like Faber-Castell, Caran d'Ache, Derwent. And yeah, there's definitely a difference. In fact, it's for me, it's such a big difference that I only use at the moment artist grade uh, products, except when it comes to my um, alcohol markers and water-based markers and that kind of stuff. I mean, I use Ohuhu, and I also have some other cheap stuff, some cheap brands of that. But even then, I also have my artist grade pro markers, for alcohol markers, and I love those markers. The colors are absolutely gorgeous, and yeah, the reason why I use those cheaper alcohol markers is because I like to use those markers in my cute and cozy books, for flat coloring. And I don't, that paper, it's still a little bit rough, and the tips, the nips of your markers really don't like that kind of paper. So I want to protect my good quality markers from getting damaged too much by the Amazon paper. So I use cheap alcohol markers on that paper. But for the rest, when it comes to pencils, when it comes to paints, I like to use good quality, artist quality kind of supplies. And the last one. The quantity of completed pages compromises the quality of pages. Um, I really have to think about this one, and it's true. If I want to complete a lot of pages, it's for me myself. If I want to complete a lot of pages in a month, um, I have to color them less beautiful. That's just the way it goes. The more time I spend on a page, the more beautiful, the more details I can put in a page like that. So yeah, it does. That's also the reason, I always call myself a slow colorist, and that's true. And that's because in a lot of cases, I don't want to compromise in that way. I actually want to create something that I'm proud of. And if I don't have time for it, then I'm gonna do something that just doesn't take up that much time. That's, usually I do something in one of my cute and cozy books, or I'm gonna find like a smaller coloring page, with a little bit less detail or something like that. But yeah, I especially like in books like this one, what I would call my good quality books. I like to create something that I'm proud of, and that doesn't always work. I'm gonna be honest about that one. It doesn't always mean that I'm proud of something. I mean, let's say this page. I don't really like my background. I think it's extremely streaky and messy. But, I tried. I really put a lot of time in it to get it okay-ish. And right now, that's exactly what it is. Okay-ish. And I'm not going to get it any better. It dries too quickly to get a really nice wash. So, but yeah, still, I will try to do that. I will try my best to create something beautiful, and yeah, I don't want to compromise in that way. So because of that, I will always have a little bit less coloring pages each month. In fact, I don't even know if I'm gonna have enough pages by the end of this month to create a finished pages video. I don't think that I'm gonna have enough pages for that, but we will see. So yeah, these were all the questions. So it's, I think, a pretty long video at the moment. So I'm gonna stop. And I'm gonna see you guys in my next video. I don't know when that's gonna be. Maybe next week, because I do have vacation coming up. So yeah, I will see you in the next video. And if you haven't, subscribe, like, and all of that wonderful stuff that you can do. If you what did I want to say? Okay, complete freeze out. You know, I need to stop. I'm gonna see you in my next video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.